on, Nathan?
Hey, how's it going?
It's going, man. Thank y'all, everyone, for joining us. We've already got people showing up. Shannon Nelson is here. Gabe Leal is here. Darren Wallace is here. Cool. So thank y'all for joining us. This is Ending the Stigma. Kate Bays is here. I'm going to squirrel out on the comments just like I always do. This is Ending the Stigma, where we just talk about the struggles associated with coming out of prison, and kind of work towards having conversations that normalize it and just show everyone that people have been to prison. We do get out. We do change. We do want to have a regular life. And some of our favorite guests are ones that have been to prison and gotten out and are doing really good, or family members of people who have been to prison to hear their perspective on it. And that's who our guest is today. Ashley Woods is our guest tonight. Her father did time in the Texas prison system. We met on a post I did a couple weeks ago on the anniversary of me getting out. I had posted some pictures of me in front of the Huntsville unit, which is called, in Texas, they call it the Walls. It's nicknamed the Walls because it has red brick walls all around that unit instead of a fence. And she recognized the walls because she had grown up going to see her dad there. So we immediately connected. There's, immediately that bond or whatever. And asked her if she wanted to come on the show and tell her story, and she agreed. So I'm going to bring Ashley out. Hey, Ashley.
Hi, everybody.
Jacob Short. I did not break out. I got out, Jacob. I got out. They released me. Ashley, thank you for joining us. Like this is pretty cool. Met you 2 weeks ago, and boom, you're on the show. So that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, it is really cool. Thank you for having me. I'm really excited to talk about it and just share my experience, like you said.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's just dive right into it. Like, tell us as much or as little of the story that you want us to know, like what it was like growing up with your dad in prison, how old you were, and all that good stuff.
Sure. Yeah. So my dad was in the even walk or talk. So a lot of my early childhood was staying and visiting, systems, trying to have that relationship with my dad in whatever way possible. My grandparents, his parents raised me, so had a really great support system, but they also found ways to keep me connected to my dad at an early age, and I think that that's one of the best things that you can do for a kid, because my dad is my best friend.
That's
We
awesome.
missed out on for 15 years of our lives.
Mm-hmm.
So just to be able to have that bond with him makes seeing his success now that much sweeter for me, because I was able, to stay connected with him, like I said.
Yeah.
He was in 4 different facilities throughout Texas, one being Huntsville. The other one was in, there was one more in a city I don't remember, and then he was on the state farm. So I've actually had my share of going to the facilities and the long travel to be able to see him. And I think one of the biggest things, right, because I'm a kid, so I'm growing up in all of this, and he actually got a year of high school. So at that time, I was getting ready. Yeah, I was getting ready to play volleyball. And, it's a lot. That's a big time in your life. You've got prom.
Yeah.
You've got your senior season, getting ready to go away and play school. So it's a lot, kid to navigate, and then to have, kind of that pressure of, oh, now you have to really know your dad. That was a lot. My things that I remembered was just trying to soak it all in and just so observant of him, and what
Mm-hmm.
he was like, and try to have those, those interactions because I'm getting ready to go away.
Right.
So my journey with my dad has been unconventional, but I think definitely made our bond stronger. I mean, I can tell my dad anything, he's not phased. I can always be open, and I know that he's always going to shoot straight right back at
Yeah.
me. And Flourish is incredible. I mean, he built his house, as a driver, so he went out and he worked really hard
Mm-hmm.
and, did it the right way this round. And I'm so proud of him because he's just perfect example of somebody just going out and setting out to do the right thing and really sticking to it.
Mm-hmm.
It's funny that the job I'm at now asked me was, who's your hero? And I said, my dad. And he was like, interesting, tell me more. And, I went into him and how he persevered and basically proved a point that, you can. And for me, carrying into my work is like, if someone can do that and I have that example right in front of me, why wouldn't I advocate? So that's why second hiring
Exactly.
is really big. Yeah.
And that's what you commented on my post, was that your dad was your hero. You grew up going to visit him,
Mm-hmm.
and your dad was your
He
hero.
He
And I
is.
thought that was
Mm-hmm.
absolutely amazing
Yeah.
that, there may have been some hurt or some pain or whatever about him not being there, but it didn't sway the fact that he was still your dad, you still loved him, and he's still your hero.
Yep.
I love it.
He really, really is. Yeah.
So tell
So
us.
that's kind of it in a nutshell.
So tell us a little bit. You said something that I picked up on. Um, you said really having to get to know your dad. And that's one
Mm-hmm.
thing. I had to get to know my family again after I got out. Yeah, they came and saw me, a couple times a month, sometimes 3 times a month. But I was gone for over 8 years, so I had totally changed while I was in there. But I had to prove it to
Right.
them, for one. But then the dynamic was different. You have to actually get to know them
Mm-hmm.
again. So tell us like a little bit about what that was about.
We have to remember looking at it through a child's eyes, right? So
Mm-hmm.
one of the earliest memories I have is like right after my dad got out, two weeks or so, he wouldn't sit in a chair. He would sit on the floor, or he would stand, against his, the wall, just kind of standing and observing where he could see. And I just
Mm-hmm.
remember just, walking up to him, Dad, what, you can sit. What do you? And he kind of snapped to it and was like, yeah, I'm just having to do this, So
Yeah.
it was learning his mannerisms, triggers, and he always gave me a bit of advice because I'm a kid, I'm his baby girl. It was to allow my dad to process the world in his way, overwhelming him.
Mm-hmm.
Because who wouldn't, be nervous or, have some trepidation about that?
Yeah.
Patient styles. I mean, it's not as, what to eat for breakfast.
Mm-hmm.
Like what makes you mad? What pisses you off? What do you not like?
Mm-hmm.
What do you need from us? Me,
Mm-hmm.
while he's trying to integrate way as well. So I think it was
Mm-hmm.
a little bit of both sides, but I just
Mm-hmm.
remember being so observant, just wanting to soak up everything I could about him that I didn't get from, the letters or the visits
Mm-hmm.
on the weekend.
And that's probably and I can't speak for him. I don't know, but I know for me, like
Sure.
if somebody had asked me when I got out, what is it you need? What is it that you want? What pisses you off? I don't know.
Hmm.
Some of
Yeah.
that stuff you just don't know anymore because you've been gone for so long. It's like you don't know how to navigate it or what's going to set you off and what isn't.
Mhm. Yeah. And I
I
knew just
remember the,
go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
oh, you're good. I remember the day that I got out. Um, my mom took me to go get new glasses because
Mhm.
my glasses were years old, having been in prison. So I was in for 11 and a half years. But the day that I got out, my mom took me to go get new glasses. And I remember being in the eye doctor's office, and it was one of those like America's Best or whatever. So what? But there's all these like 20-year-old girls, and they're like right in my face and touching and doing and measuring. And I'm sitting there like, why are you so fucking
Whoa.
close to me?
Yeah.
Exactly.
And it was weird and it was tough. And at one point my mom even pulled me to the side, like, do you need to take time? Do you need to go sit in a corner somewhere and just chill?
Yeah. It's a lot.
And kind of, yeah, it's a
Yeah.
lot. It's little things like that people don't think about. But like, I hadn't been that
Mhm.
close to someone or having someone like messing with my face and doing whatever in over a
Yeah.
decade.
Yep.
Whitney Woods. Do you know Whitney Woods?
Yes. So
She had a
that is
question for
my
you on
aunt.
YouTube. Okay.
Let me see.
She had a question. What type of support did your dad have?
So my dad had a lot of support. We have one of the largest families in the city that I grew up in, and it is relatively local. Um, so, when my dad got out, a little murky, so forgive me, but he grandparents for a little bit. And he lived with my aunt for a little bit. So there was kind of this gradual transition to where, he was living independently that,
Mm-hmm.
again, beneficial if you can, have
Mm-hmm.
access to that. It doesn't even have to be a relative. It could be a support system of friends from, a church group or another organization that you're affiliated with. But just, I think, again, just in observing my dad and how, he was trying to get acclimated to everyone, having that support system was such a help for him, even
Yeah.
on the emotional,
Mm-hmm.
um, no, we were not born with silver spoons in our mouths, like my family. So there
Mm-hmm.
was very much that notion, like, you need to meet us halfway and do,
Mm-hmm.
like, do what you need to do.
Mm-hmm.
So I just think, having that solid foundation and, still like a good work ethic, do the right thing, come to us if there's, a problem. All of that really played a really important factor into giving my dad that solid foundation.
Yeah.
And I recognize that everyone doesn't have access to that. Some people get out and it's very rough. They're given
Yeah.
a bus ticket and $50 on the butt.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
Good game, bro. Thanks for joining us for for the past 15
Exactly.
years.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So really just grateful for that, and having that solid foundation. My aunt was very much one of those people. I mean, she's a rock
Mm-hmm.
for me as well.
Mm-hmm.
So
And that's one thing, Nathan and I both had an amazing support system in prison and when we got out. And we both realized though that we were very blessed to have that, and not everybody does. But you
yeah,
can tell the guys that don't have the greatest support system because they're the ones getting violated. Whether it's technical violations or committing a new crime, either one.
sure,
They're the ones that are more likely to go back because
yeah,
they don't have anybody to help them, so
yeah.
they go
To
back
hold
to
on
what
to,
they were doing. Yeah, exactly. I mean, what
Yeah,
reason do they have to act right?
right.
So,
And I feel like as an adult, you obviously understand the severity situation and kind of wake that in itself can give someone and have out.
mhm.
You know, it's a tough, resilient. They may not understand, or understand the complexity. Well, I mean, there there just need more opportunities out there to give people a stronghold.
Absolutely. Somebody else
Yeah.
had a question, and I don't know if you can answer it or not, because this is a loaded question and one that has
Yes,
is
it
so
is.
new, so nuanced, and has so many. There's so much there. Like that's a big question. So I
Yeah.
don't know if you can speak for your dad or not, but just give us your opinion on it, or if you know your dad said something about it, you can say it. But
So these things that my dad had really discussed with me. Honestly, like his times where he was working, he was a
mhm,
trustee on the state farm for a really long time. The opportunity to like work with animals and
yeah,
tractors, and so he talks about the productive times.
hmm
Um, as far as experience with, you know, officials and healthcare, that he honestly hasn't really much to me about, other than more often needs to be better. And
hmm
I agree with him on that as a healthcare standpoint. Um, I actually work for a healthcare staffing company, corrections healthcare staffing company for a while. Um, do visits and, got a chance to see kind of inner workings of things. And it's, the reports that you read is like, number one, we better by prisoners while they're in the system.
hmm
But number two, you have to, I think people need to remember human beings. Like at the
hmm
end of the day, you could have done the worst thing in the world. You say whatever you want about laws and death penalty and what you want to think, but at the end of these are human beings.
hmm
Many of them back to their families.
hmm
Many of them life outside of here that continues to go on while they're incarcerated. So we need to be sensitive to that. And I know that's kind of
hmm
like a soft answer, but it starts with being human first.
No, 100%. And Darren Wallace, I think he's still here. He was a guest about a month ago. He's a
Mm-hmm.
former warden in the Texas prison system, and he said there does need to be change. He said, but we can talk. Basically, what he says, we can talk about it all day long, but it happens in the legislative level. It doesn't
Yep.
happen at the warden level or the regional director level or even the director level. It happens at
Yep.
the
At the
legislative
legislative
level.
level.
Thank you. Yeah,
I
that's
agree.
exactly where it happens because they
And
can
I'm
only do what they're
sorry
told
I
to do.
can't. Yeah, and you at some point you have to into doing things that they can't as well,
Hmm
So there's got to be a structure. So
hmm
Shannon, I hope that answer. It wasn't direct, like a direct answer, but he has touched on those things.
Yeah, and like I said, that's kind of a loaded question because you can. I mean, it's easy, especially as a former inmate, to sit there and blast all the things wrong with the prison system.
Sure.
But you're it doesn't do any good to be mad about it because the only way it's going to change is in Austin
Sure.
or at your state capital.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely. So I don't know. This is y'all can't see him, but I guess whenever you sent your dad the link to join, you sent him the restream link because he's backstage right now watching it for the. He is backstage. Yes, he is.
Mass message, so you people that have stuck backstage. I'm sorry.
And I don't know, Richie, if you want to come out, you're more than welcome to. I can bring you on stage and you can talk if you want to. You can nod yes or no. and it's totally up to you. But or you're more than welcome to sit there and chill. Yes, all right, cool. All right, everybody. This is Richie Woods.
Dad.
I
Hey, baby,
love it. This is awesome.
how y'all doing?
Good, man.
Good, good.
Thanks
So,
for popping in.
yeah, not a problem. I heard a little bit about what Ashley was telling you guys, and it's touching.
Yeah.
Never knew I was your hero.
Yeah.
That does my heart good, baby. I've worked so hard, but this is an incredible young lady that you have as a guest. I've worked very hard on our relationship because I realize I made some bad choices and it does have an effect on your kids. And one of the things I said when I got home that I was going to do what I could to let my daughter know each and every day just how much I love her.
Yeah.
And we had some rough patches. She was, she was going through some things and she had some things to process with actually having me there and not being a part of her life when she would go through things wanting her dad to be there. I
Mm-hmm.
was hundreds of miles away.
Mm-hmm.
I have a lot of regrets about the actions I took that ultimately landed me in prison. But one thing I know is I've made true on my promises to myself that I would do all I could to become a productive member of society, pull myself up by the bootstraps, and be the man that I know I can be.
Come on.
And it's been a it's been a lot of hard work, but I've been blessed with being given the opportunity by some good folks, uh, and I've flourished. Uh, and I have to say, I'm proud of myself. This is why
Yeah. Heck yeah.
when I run across, she mentioned that I was a driver trainer. I drive 18 wheelers
Mm-hmm.
for a concrete company in Round Rock, just outside of Austin. And one of the biggest pleasures in doing that is I run across young men who, in talking to them, you're one on one in the truck with them while you're trying to teach them the trade, how to be safe and whatnot. I pick up on, yeah, they're kind of out there in the streets a little bit.
Yeah.
Well, one thing about that business, you have some very, very early mornings. And I let them know, if you still are half in the streets and you got your heart half in doing this, you're not going to last long.
Mm-hmm.
I'll be honest with you.
Mm-hmm.
But the ones that see it through, it was so rewarding being able to teach them something to where they they make themselves marketable.
Mm.
They have a skill that they can go out and earn a decent living and not have to resort to the streets and what they know, from the streets, and I've had over the years, I've been doing this 11 years, and I'll be in a grocery store or a place of business and somebody will call me by a nickname that I earned. Uh,
Right. Back in the day.
yeah. And I'll turn around and it'll be one of those young men and they all have the same message. They thank me. They thank me for being patient with them. Excuse me.
Go ahead.
They thank me for being patient with them and teaching them something, and I hear success stories, how they moved on from there and, took it up a notch,
Yeah.
and they're doing whatever now. Oh, I see pictures of kids, and yeah, it's been really rewarding. But it all started with me making the decision that I wasn't willing to give any more of my time. I wanted my family to be able to enjoy me, and for me to be able to enjoy my family.
Yeah.
But I just had to say something. My daughter, Ashley Marie Woods, I love you to death. I do.
So Richie, one thing I want to hear you talk about, if you're willing to. um, I think Chris kind of has a similar perspective as me because I don't have kids. I spent 11 and a half years in prison here in Colorado. Chris spent 8.5 years in Texas. Neither of us have kids, but I know, at least for me, I met many, many people in the time that I was down. Many, many of them who did have kids, some of them who had a relationship with their kids, and some of them who didn't.
Mm-hmm.
And the ones who did, that was so deep and meaningful for them. And like just having that relationship with their children was so important. So what was that for you, having your daughter there while you were in prison for all those years?
You know, you have, when you have a daughter, and you being someone who, you know, used to hustle in the streets and whatnot, seeing things that go on, you worry.
Mm-hmm.
You worry. Now, I knew she was in good, capable hands, being raised by my parents, but still, you worry. You know, come on. I did things that my parents don't know of to this day.
Mm-hmm.
So, and let me just tell you, this young lady, she is her father's child. Trust me. She
I am a
that
saint.
that right there is Richie Jr. in so many ways. Sometimes I just talk to her to hear her responses and all, and I just shake my head. It's like that's me, you know. She's very intelligent, very spirited young lady. But to get back to what you were asking, I worried so much. So there's nothing that you can do, being that you're serving time, you're behind bars. You can't reach out and have that personalized conversation about something that she has questions about. It's something that's happening now. Letters and answering later on. Yeah, I mean, you hope that it reached her at a time where it was useful.
Mm-hmm.
If she had questions about something. But that's the biggest thing. You worry, that she'll be okay, and realize because of your actions, that's in somebody else's hands, ensuring that she's going to be okay.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I pretty much delivered that young lady that you're speaking to when she was born. She was born at Francis E. Warren Air Force Base, Cheyenne, Wyoming, and I pretty much delivered her.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, you talking about a first love? Yeah, I'm on the podcast, baby. Uh, my wife says hello, but Yeah, that's the biggest thing. And I understand you two gentlemen don't have kids. It's a constant. You just worry. Excuse me. And just hope for the best. And when I finally was able to come home, get to her, she's right. It was quite the adjustment,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
being reintegrated into society, the workforce, and then just trying to rush home and spend time with her. Now, as she mentioned, she was a senior in high school. The very night I came home, she had a volleyball, basketball.
Mhm.
She had a game at Westwood High, volleyball. She had a
Something.
volleyball game at Westwood High, and I remember going to the game and just enjoying seeing her. I was a pretty decent athlete in school, and just seeing Richie Jr. out there, uh, that was special to me. And then right on the heels of that, basketball, which is my sport. Um, she played basketball and she did well. I always wondered why she didn't get uh, accept a scholarship in basketball, but that's neither here nor there.
Kevin, I am not
Those
trying
were
to put
my
that.
wishes. You just didn't know what you had. You had game. You used it.
Oh my God.
A lefty at that. But
Uh,
yeah, so I mean, it seemed like a blur. I was gone for 7 calendar years. I had just a few months, and she was off to Miami, Florida.
mhm.
And it was like all those feelings of worrying in there. Now she's going off to this big city. She's not in Round Rock anymore. And it's like, oh God, oh. But the first opportunity I got, I came to Miami.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And I think it's really awesome that she was there during that whole time because, like Nathan said, you could tell a difference in the guys that had kids that the kids weren't involved with them, and the guys that had kids and the kids were involved with them. That they were getting visits from them, they were getting letters from them, and pictures,
Mhm.
and you know, the family, whoever had the kids out there, was making sure that they still got to see each other versus
Mhm.
the baby mama or the ex-wife or the grandma or the whoever that didn't want to bring them. You know,
Yeah.
you could just
Yeah.
tell a difference in it. Like
Yeah.
they'd be bitter or hard. I don't know how to explain it, but there'd just be a little bit more of a harder edge to them.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? Because
Without a
they won't.
doubt.
Yeah.
Because you crave that when you're in prison. You know, you crave contact with the outside world, especially with your family.
Yes. Yes. And that's one thing that I give my mother and dad a lot of credit for. They religiously, I mean, I got the opportunity to see my daughter. I'll never forget. She told me that she could tie her shoe and she wanted to show me she could tie her shoe.
Oh, and I showed you. I remember that. I showed you. Purple, I think. I don't
Yes, ma'am.
remember.
That is awesome that
But
y'all
I
remember the color of the shoe.
were they purple?
Yes. And
Mhm.
she she fumbled with it a little bit. So I thought dad thought he would help.
Oh
That
no.
was the wrong thing to do. That was the absolute wrong thing to do. And she cried. Oh, I broke her little heart. Yeah. But Yeah, no, you're right. I mean, you get a visit and you get the opportunity to see your kid, and visitation is over, and you just feel like you're on cloud nine. You know, I got a chance to see mom, sister, and daughter, or any combination, as long as she was there.
Mm-hmm.
Got a chance to see my baby, and you leave visitation feeling good. She's healthy. She's well taken care of, and then reality sets back in. You get in the day room or wherever, and
Yeah.
you see these dudes, and hey, Woods, how was your visit? Oh man, great, man. This and that. But you kind of, you're conditioned to check out your
Mhm.
surroundings, and there's always that somebody that's not feeling so well, wishing that they had a visit
Mhm.
Right.
Yeah.
and didn't have the opportunity to have one, and they're
Mhm.
going through what I went through a lot of days, wondering, if hoping and praying that they're okay. You know, so I was very fortunate in that aspect of my time being incarcerated, that I have parents that made it to where I got the opportunity to see her grow. I was about 4 minutes late to the podcast, so I don't know how much she told you, but I'm not embarrassed by it because I've moved on and made something of myself. Gentlemen, I was actually incarcerated twice.
Mhm.
The first time for 5 calendar years. I stayed out 5 years and 19 days. And then the second time for 7 calendar years. And yeah, it took a lot of reaching down deep. It took a lot of listening and figuring out what she needed from me so
Mhm.
that we could have a relationship. You
Mhm.
know, it wasn't easy all the time
No, I
because she
don't
is, oh, she is strong, so strong willed.
imagine.
She is, and that's a good thing, though. You know,
Yeah. So let me ask Ashley this. Your dad just said what it was like going back to the block, and I can relate to that 100%. My dorm was at the very end of the hallway, so I had the whole long hallway to walk down. And with each wing I was going through, it was more and more reality, more and more, switching that, flipping that switch. What was it like for you as a
Hmm.
kid leaving? Like when you would come see your dad and then have to leave again?
Oh, it sucked. It absolutely
Yeah.
sucked. I think now in hindsight, I'm sure that I was just a squirrely kid, and I was bored, and I'd
Mm-hmm.
been in a ride for 3 hours, but that was a short time with my dad.
Mm-hmm.
When we went at that by that time, I kind of
Mm-hmm.
understood what's going on. My grandparents were pretty transparent with me. They didn't share everything. I just remember feeling that happened kind of by the time I was getting to the, oh, I can't talk with my dad anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I think what softened for me of just having him was definitely the letters. Um,
Yeah.
my dad wrote letters to me all the time. He sent me, there was a leather maker that was in the shop, and he'd send me a wallet or, artwork that somebody had. I had
Mm-hmm.
these things to kind of me over until the next time that I would talk.
Yeah.
I probably didn't show it, show how it meant to me because I was a kid and I was involved in, 8 years. But when I would go to my room, I would reread his, and I would his artwork, and I would try to feel the lines on the page, just to be close to my dad.
Yeah. And I'm sure that kind of
You
intensified
know,
or got more
um,
intentional. No, go ahead. Go ahead. What were you
we
saying?
have storms rolling through, so I might have a little bit of a lag. I'm sorry.
Okay, there
I
is a little bit of a lag. That's okay though. Oh yeah, or you got
sorry.
more intentional about it. I'm sure as you went from being a child to being a teenager, that became a little more meaningful. You started to get it a little more.
Yeah, and one of the first big lessons I've ever shared this with my dad, but when he got out for the second time, that was really a big lesson expressing my boundaries. And I flat out told my dad, like, it's not. And I was probably crying, but listened and took it to heart. Like I know he did. Um, but I'm grateful because he allowed me to do. And I think that, you know, again, kind of the rush timeline of him senior year and then me having to go sports in Florida, it was timeline. You know, we were trying to cram a lot.
Mm-hmm.
But my dad let me have that. I don't know if I ever really like got mad at you like that at any point other than that. I think that was like I got it all out in one shot and then we were good. Is that right?
Oh, what a selective memory you have.
Maybe two or three little aftershots.
There were a few there were a few times when you felt the need to vent, and I realized she needs to get this out. For us,
Mm-hmm.
in order for us to grow, she needs to get this out. Now, I don't know how well I hide my emotion, but some of it, you know, they say the truth hurts. Uh, I realized that I hurt my child, and whatever reaction that came of it, I earned that, you know, and she had every right to express herself.
Sure.
And just like she said, after she got it all out, uh, we did. Yeah, we were able to bond the way father and daughter should bond,
Mm-hmm.
and we haven't looked back. So yeah,
Yeah.
she just needed to get it out.
Yeah. This has been like just an amazing story. For one, Richie showing up backstage out of the blue was like really cool. But just to hear the just to take it from hearing Ashley's side to hearing Richie's side, and them being so similar. You know, not any difference in anything. Like it was just that you all both realized that this is the way it was, and you made the absolute best of the situation, and then you worked with each other. You know, there weren't any major assumptions that dad's going to be exactly this way when he gets out, or I'm going to have exactly this relationship with my daughter whenever I get out. Y'all were, that give and take was there to figure out what you both needed to make this relationship work.
Mm-hmm.
To me, that's just absolutely amazing because, you know, you talk to guys all the time that got out, that get out, and they're like, yeah, I got out. My daughter didn't want to have it. I told her it was going to be like this. And I'm like, bro, you were gone for 10 years. Like, there's got to be that
Mm-hmm.
balancing act to
Oh
see
yeah,
how this is going to go, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and
oh
to
yeah,
make it work, to make it, to be willing to do that, to make it work.
yeah. And it was exactly that. It wasn't something that came. You know, I'd love to be able to sit here and say it just came naturally. No, it was work
Mm-hmm.
on both of our parts, you know.
Mhm.
And I was
Yeah.
just, as far as myself, I was bound and determined to do all that I could. But you know, it took two people, and to this day, I mean, she's right. She can tell me anything. I'm gonna shoot straight with her, give her, you know, my opinion of things. It might be something that she's seeking advice or wants an opinion on something. She knows I'm gonna shoot straight with her, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So we've developed a relationship to where I don't have to sugarcoat anything,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And I love that about our relationship. Um, it's been a blessing. It really has.
Yeah.
And I'm sure she doesn't sugarcoat anything either, do you?
No, she does not. As I said earlier, she is definitely her father's child.
That's awesome. I love it. Well, this has been awesome, y'all. We're coming up close to an hour, so let me do some quick plugging for what I got coming up next Monday. This coming up Monday
Sure.
on the 6th at 7 o'clock Central. I have Carl Sean Watkins, this man right here that's been in the comments this whole time. He's going to be on the show with me. I have no idea what we're going to talk about, but it'll be the first time we've ever talked in person. We've interacted a whole lot in the comment section. So it'll be good to have him. He's become a pretty good friend. Don't have a guest for 2 weeks on Ending the Stigma, but we are going to maybe work it out where we finally do the Ending the Stigma Prison Spread Edition, where we make some make some spreads on camera for y'all to see what kind of stuff that we were eating in there.
Oh boy.
Come on, man. Richie
Oh
knows. We're gonna make a pizza, put some mashed potatoes and chili on top of it. Come on.
yeah, 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 yeah. They don't know nothing about that.
They don't know. They're gonna learn though.
Yes, sir.
We have been talking about doing that, and it received a lot of positive feedback. And then we kind of tabled the idea, and somebody asked me about it today, and I was like, you know what? Maybe we'll do that in 2 weeks. So we may not have a guest in 2 weeks. We may just cook for y'all
Good
out
deal.
of out of a coffee pot, since I don't have a hot pot.
Oh yeah. Memories.
Yeah, right. You know what though? Excuse me. Some of my favorite memories are Friday night spreading with the guys. I got real close with some of the guys I was locked up with. We still talk today. They're out and doing good. Their life's on the right track. The ones that are out and life is not on the right track, I don't talk to.
Yeah.
But some of our best memories were Friday nights or Saturday nights where there'd be 6 or 8 of us get together and spread and talk and shoot the breeze and just talk about life,
Yeah.
Mhm.
talk about the free world.
Oh yeah.
Yes, Sam's the one. Yeah, yeah. Sam, this guy right here, he's the one that mentioned it to me. I was on a Zoom call with him right before we got on the show, and he was like, "Dude, when are you going to do the cooking show? I got to see. I got to see what you're talking about."
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Well, Ashley, Richie, thank y'all so much for joining us. This turned out really, really well. I thought it was really cool that Richie got the wrong link, but it turned out to be something really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not.
Thank you.
I'm not.
Yeah, definitely. Um, Anything else y'all want to say before we close this thing out?
No. Just like my daughter to know just how very much I love her, and thank you for having me.
Yep. Glad you were here. Glad you made
Dad,
it. Ashley. I love it. That's so cool. Oh man. All right, guys. Thank y'all so much for joining in, showing up and supporting. I say it all the time. You know, Nathan and I do these shows, and we do posts about being in prison, and the amount of support we've received has just been overwhelming. So thank y'all for that very much. We appreciate it. Don't think that we don't notice and that we don't talk about it outside of the comments section. Yep, God was in the plan, Whitney, for sure. Always. I think that's it. Appreciate y'all. Nathan,
right.
what's up with the TED Talk, man?
I have not heard anything yet. I applied to 2 of them. So
Okay, you did apply to 2.
Yep, I applied to 2 of them. So we'll see. I'm just waiting to hear back.
Awesome. For anybody that doesn't know, Nathan did in his Toastmasters group, he did a speech on ending the stigma and just blew the socks off of everybody in his Toastmasters group. And one of the people in the Toastmasters group is a TEDx coach. Is that right?
Yep.
And
Oh,
she
cool.
came to you and said, you need to do this as a TED Talk.
Right.
Yeah. So hopefully, ending the stigma will be on the TEDx stage here pretty soon.
Yeah,
Yep.
that'll work.
I have a friend that's done a TED Talk too, and see if we can get some connections going. So I'll connect you guys on LinkedIn.
Cool.
That's great. Yeah.
Heck yeah. Awesome. All right, guys. Appreciate y'all. Y'all have a good evening.
All right.
You too.
Bye.
Night.
Bye.